When the rhythm fades, but your heartbeat keeps playing, that's when you realize you've lost control. The roar of the crowd was gone, but the echo of their cheers still vibrated in the walls. Cherine sat on the edge of the stage, her legs dangling, holding her guitar loosely. Sweat traced down her neck, glimmering under the dim stage lights, a visible sign of the energy she had just poured into her performance. A moment later, Meena walked up silently, a soft presence in the quiet aftermath. She held out 2 water bottles, a small, caring gesture that spoke volumes. "You were amazing tonight," Meena said, her voice a gentle murmur in the vast empty space. Cherine took a bottle, her fingers brushing against Meena's. A small smile, a little shy, touched her lips. "Thanks, but I almost forgot the bridge. You distracted me." Meena let out a light laugh. "Me? I was just dancing." "Exactly," Cherine teased back, her lips curving in that dangerous way that always made Meena's heart skip a beat, a little flutter of chaos in her chest. A silence fell between them, not awkward, but comfortable, electric. It was the kind of silence that hums louder than any song, filled with everything left unsaid. It was a space where unspoken feelings grew, a prelude to a melody they hadn't yet written. The next afternoon, they met at the small familiar studio where they always wrote music together. It was their sanctuary, the place where chords and lyrics intertwined to create magic. Cherine sat with her guitar, strumming a soft, melancholic chord progression, her eyes half closed in concentration. Meena leaned against the wall, a notebook in her hand, humming along, trying to catch the feeling of the music and trap it in words. She jotted down a few lines, then looked up. "What if the chorus said, 'I'm losing control every time you look at me'?" Cherine's fingers stilled on the strings. She stopped playing and looked up, her gaze slow and intense. "That's perfect." Their eyes met across the room, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Meena's pen trembled slightly in her hand. The words she'd just suggested felt a little too honest, a little too close to the bone. "Sing it," Cherine said, her voice low and compelling, almost a command. Meena hesitated, a flicker of fear in her eyes. But then, she took a shallow breath and began to sing, her voice soft, trembling with a vulnerability she couldn't hide. "I'm losing control every time you look at me." Cherine joined in, her voice weaving a perfect harmony around Meena's, their voices blending so flawlessly it felt unreal, like they were 2 parts of a single soul. But halfway through the line, Meena's voice faltered. The words became too real, a confession she wasn't ready to make out loud. She broke eye contact, looking away towards the window, anything to escape the intensity of Cherine's gaze. Cherine noticed immediately. The harmony broke, leaving a void in the air. "What's wrong?" she asked gently. "Nothing," Meena lied, her voice barely a whisper. "Just tired." But Cherine wasn't convinced. She knew Meena better than that. She stood up from her stool, closing the distance between them until Meena could feel the warmth radiating from her, feel her breath ghosting across her skin. "You're not tired," Cherine stated softly, but with certainty. "You're scared." Meena blinked, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Of what?" Cherine's eyes softened, filled with an understanding that was both terrifying and comforting. "Of this." It had started to rain outside. The studio window blurred with streaks of silver, the world outside turning into a watercolor painting. Inside, the only sounds were the quiet tapping of raindrops against the glass and the faint, low hum of an amplifier left on. Meena stared at her own distorted reflection in the window, her features blurred by the rain. "We can't do this," she whispered, the words spoken more to herself than to Cherine. Cherine came closer, her presence a solid anchor in the swirling storm of Meena's emotions. "Do what?" "Feel this," Meena said, her voice trembling, finally admitting the truth. "You're my best friend, my music partner." "If we cross that line," Cherine interrupted, her tone gentle but firm, cutting through Meena's spiral of fear. "Then we'll finally stop pretending." Meena turned to face her, her breath shaky, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and longing. "You don't understand, Cherine. I've already lost control." Cherine froze. The confession hung heavy in the air between them, a tangible thing. Then slowly, as if moving through water, she reached out and took Meena's hand. Cherine's own fingers were trembling. "Then let's be lost together." Their eyes met, and in that shared gaze, months of hesitation and fear began to melt away, replaced by a smoldering fire. Cherine leaned forward, her face just inches from Meena's, so close that Meena could see the flecks of gold in her eyes. "Tell me to stop," she whispered, giving Meena one last chance to retreat. Meena didn't. She couldn't. And in that charged silence, Cherine closed the remaining distance and kissed her. It was soft at first, a question, testing, unsure, but then it deepened, growing urgent, filled with all the unspoken words and pent-up emotions they had been holding back for months. Meena's hands slid to Cherine's shoulders, pulling her closer, as if she was afraid Cherine might disappear if she let go. In that moment, the world outside didn't matter. Not the rain drumming against the window, not the rules they had set for themselves, not the fear that had held them captive. There was only the rhythm of two hearts, finally, perfectly in sync. Later, they sat on the cool wooden floor of the studio, wrapped in a shared, comfortable silence. The storm outside had passed, leaving a quiet calm. Cherine gently traced a finger down Meena's arm, a light touch that sent shivers through her. "You're still shaking," Cherine observed softly. Meena let out a nervous laugh, a sound full of relief and wonder. "Because I've never felt this before." A warm, genuine smile spread across Cherine's face. "Good. Neither have I." Their unfinished song, "Losing Control," still glowed on the music stand, the lyrics a testament to their journey. Meena picked up her pen, her hand steady now. She walked over to the stand and added one final, defiant lyric at the bottom of the page. "I'm not afraid anymore." Cherine looked at the new line and smiled, her eyes shining. Perfect ending. Meena turned back to her, a soft smile playing on her lips. She shook her head. "No, it's just the beginning. When love hits you like a song, you don't choose the melody. You just close your eyes and lose control." Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Music Story. It's a fact that almost 98% of the people who watch our stories aren't subscribed. If you enjoyed this journey with Cherine and Meena, hitting that subscribe button would mean the world to us. It helps us keep creating these stories for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.